Hey, friends. You got the disclaimer that you would be hearing some of my musings and I would be sharing some things with y'all, maybe some writings with y'all. Congratulations, you have leveled up on this adventure to your very first musing episode. So, what I'll be sharing with you is something that I wrote in my weekly writing group after I completed my after during it was during it was during my breathwork coach training program. Oh, that's a mouthful to say. But your girl is certified now. I During that time I was feeling such a difference in my body and in my mind. I mean, I still do when I'm being good about my breath work practice. Um, but I was feeling all those things and I was attempting to like capture it in words while it was happening because I was feeling such a difference inside. There were a lot of things that were coming up for me because in the learning, I was slipping into some deep meditative states. Memories came up, things were getting cleared out, connections were being made in my mind between breathing and feminism, breathing and social justice, breathing and how we move in the world, breathing and anxiety. And this piece that I'm going to share with you was birthed from that. This is definitely one of a number of writings that I'll be working on around breath work because I do plan to write about it some more. But here's the first musing that I had. You're not breathing correctly right now. It's okay. I'm probably not either. It's one of the first things most of us do on our own instinctively because it's so simple, right? But simple is what we love to complicate the most. Whether it's communication or rest, enjoying this short life, not committing genocide against fellow human beings, or remembering to stretch every bit when you're at a desk all day so as to avoid hell on your body, we just kind of don't. Because we think we got it. As easy as breathing is how the phrase goes. As someone who is currently enrolled in a breathing course, buddy, let me tell you, we don't know shit about breathing. Have you heard about stomach gripping? Maybe you haven't. But it's when someone intentionally sucks their stomach in, usually because they feel self conscious about their tummy. I learned to suck my stomach in at the age of 6. I had come back from a trip to Puerto Rico for my step grandfather's funeral. Because I had no concept of time as a young one, I have no clue how long I was there, but I know I ate and I know I had a massive amount of sweets. Upon my return to school, as I was out on the playground, one of my peers told me I had gotten fat. As I objected to their claims, I raised my shirt so they could see my stomach as I did my very best to suck it in. See? I didn't change. I wasn't somehow less than because I was fat. I was still skinny. I was still the little kid that could eat all the McDonald's and keep off the weight, or that's what my family would say to me at the time. I was still pretty, worthy, whatever it was. I wasn't fat. The more you grip your stomach muscles, the more you train them to malfunction. Did you know that stomach gripping can develop into something called hourglass figure syndrome? That's when the muscles of the upper abdomen become hypertonic or tight, and the muscles of the lower abdomen become weak and underused. I used to walk home from middle school and high school sucking in my stomach. My 15-pound book bag strapped to my back, along with ever growing breasts strapped to my chest, and then I was sucking it in. The male gaze was ever present, and as much as I was and still am absolutely repulsed by it, a good chunk of my value was wrapped up in how I was perceived. I look at photos of myself from even 6 years ago and long for a body that isn't real because I was sucking it in those pictures as well. Issues that can develop from hourglass syndrome include back pain, neck pain, pelvic floor problems, and breathing issues. Stomach gripping can reduce your oxygen intake by as much as 30%. Undoing hourglass syndrome can be painful. You literally have to reshape your muscles, retrain your diaphragm. You have to strengthen parts that have become weakened. You have to unlearn the learned instinct to suck it in. And you have to relearn how to breathe properly. It's as easy as breathing, right? I've learned more ways to breathe now than I even knew were possible. Like Kapalabhati and Ujjayi, I've learned to breathe like a cow, a bee, and a lion. I've learned to breathe victoriously and how to hold my breath intentionally as opposed to an anxiety-ridden knee-jerk reaction. And I only thought there were like 2 ways to breathe, to be honest with y'all. One of the first techniques I learned involves very purposefully only using your abdominal muscles to suck air into your lungs and powerfully expel it on the exhale. You have to become aware of how much air your lungs can actually hold, which means you're filling in that once neglected 30%. You have to become aware of your belly. You have to learn to take up space with your body and make space within your body. You have to breathe through the learned shame and not suck it in. You have to breathe. I think of myself as that little girl that learned to suck it in, and the messaging I learned growing up with all the identities that said in one way or another, I should shrink. This breathwork coaching program, this breathing practice are a literal pushback to that, a push out. I push my belly out. I make room for my lungs. I create space inside of myself. I create room within myself. I take up space outside of myself so that I can breathe. I hope you breathe too. I'm going to walk you through a breathing exercise. If you're in a safe environment, I invite you to close your eyes. If you're doing something like, driving, maybe don't close your eyes. It's called box breathing. So you're going to inhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 4, and then hold again for a count of 4. In through the nose and out through the nose. We're going to do this for 3 rounds, but I invite you to continue after this episode is done. Let's begin. So we're going to go in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4.